Welcome to the Main Stage Cast, a podcast about all things competitive Call of Duty, hosted by me, Nate Burleson, and Alex Friel. Now, it's been about 10, 15 days, something like that, since we've had the last podcast. There was a lot of stuff going on with Super Week, so we were kind of just laying low a bit, trying to enjoy the COD. And now we're back at you, though, and we got the majors starting tomorrow as of this recording. And so we got a lot to talk about, but maybe we'll talk about something else other than COD, or other than like the actual gameplay today. We'll talk about some Twitter drama. Who doesn't like Twitter drama? Alex, you were following a little bit more closely than me.
Yeah,
What was happening?
yeah. We could start off by talking about Super Week, but like 20 matches, everyone was watching them. Even I suggested, I was like, maybe we just don't do this week. There's so much COD, and people are putting so much time in a competitive COD in their day. It's like they've already put in for these 3
Mm-hmm.
matches. We should just do the podcast when
Right.
it's done in between the major. But last night, the timing is just perfect that we did it today instead of
Mm-hmm.
yesterday. But last night we just had like the funniest Twitter drama like in a while because Hastro and he always does this, right? He's been ripping on the hoodie org,
Mm-hmm.
like just to give context to like him just ripping on people. Like he's always been saying this. He's always been mad about how like no one cares that he's been half the COD champs and gotten second at half of
Mm-hmm.
them. No one really cares. But then if it was like Optic had even made it to the final, like we would have been like the world would have been changing. If LA Thieves makes it to a final, like the world is gonna literally explode of joy. But like when it's Envy, it's just never the same feeling. So Hesher was actually really upset,
Mm-hmm.
and so
Well,
he made a comment about how no one said
yeah,
anything
that's what it was.
about their
Yeah.
3-0 match, like from
Right.
CDL Super Week, like not even in the major, not anything. He's like, well, no one says anything, but
Well,
when they lose, blah 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 blah
like,
blah.
what's he
Like,
want
and
them to
then
say?
JCap was like, old man, don't you ever get tired of this? And they start going back and forth, and like JCap started exposing Stro, and they were just going back and forth, and Hastro's like, well, at the end of the day, I'll buy any of you guys
Mm-hmm.
at LA or Optic a beer. It only took him 20 minutes to mention Optic's
Yeah.
name, right? Like he had to do. He couldn't leave it out.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so he made those comments, but then the best was when Courage came in and literally started like roasting him about like the org at first, and then literally started
It was
taking it
it
so
took like two
personally.
tweets for it to
And
start being
bro,
personal attacks.
dude, this man Courage posts his winnings from esports, which is like 86K,
Mm-hmm.
and then Hasher's
Which
winning, which is
which was a
4K.
dumb
And
tweet, to
then
be honest.
okay, you may think so, but it was funny because Astro tried defending it and saying blah blah blah, like Halo MLG finals like
That's true. That is
2008,
true.
and then Courage literally started exposing those events, and he was like, bro, like I know about all the shady stuff. I know about you knew people there with $50 to buy back into the tournament. He was exposing the corruptness. It's like when Hex brags about how he's the best player at his age, like at least he doesn't start talking about MLG Halo
Yeah,
championships from
and like
2009,
it's
right? Like Hastro will be like,
yeah.
hey man, I'm a good gamer for my age. In 2009, I got second at the New Jersey MLG Halo finals.
To be fair though, like obviously, yeah, Courage is gonna make more money like now than anyone was making before
Yeah.
2010,
Yeah,
before
you have to include like
2015.
inflation as
Like
well, and like just
so
the prize winnings have
yeah, it's
gone up. I think that's
I
like
think Courage
it's
got
kind
a
of unfair.
little.
It's
Both of
kind of
them got a little
it is kind
hurt. Both
of
of them got a little hurt and started throwing some real personal
yeah.
jabs in. It's like it's kind of sad to see that on the timeline. And like, I don't agree
But
with Hastro, but Hastro was
regardless,
kind of
regardless
calling
of
him
him
a
getting hurt,
sellout. Like, nah,
yeah, that was
he's making like
Astro
four.
definitely took
Who
it
cares
out.
if Courage wants to make Fortnite and Among Us content because that's kind of what grows his brand, and he seems to enjoy it. So like, who cares? Like, let the man make
I
his
have to
content.
watch trivia
Let,
about that.
I,
But like I don't know. I think Hestro really just took the L, and then Courage. Like I think he, even if he was hurt, he definitely took the W.
mm-hmm.
Because like if you look at the situation, like dude, but then Nade Shot like tweeted about it like a whole last day later, and was just like lost
Yeah.
3-0 to Dallas Empire. Like he's gonna like work on it. We're gonna get better. Like made that like stupid ass tweet
Buy
that
our
like it was the
hoodies to
last
help us
match of
out.
like cares like. Oh my god, dude, it was ridiculous. But Nate Shot definitely had the best tweet. But then J Caps made a tweet longer exposing Stro keeping money, half of their prize earnings from their 2017 championship, and there was a bunch of salary troubles and contract troubles. Like Stro was trying to Stroh was trying to like sign them to contracts when they were all done playing so that they could like be bought out as a team and he could make more money from it as opposed to like them just being picked up as free
Mhm.
agents because like John and App were never signed to a contract, so they were like free to go. But then Stroh was trying to convince
Right.
Slasher and
So,
JCap that they had to be
mhm.
auto
So a team
renewed,
could buy it
which was
out.
no,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but there was no language about auto renewing their contract in like their in the language of their contract, and JCap said that Stroh told him like it's about time we get it done, like literally after they had lost like IW champs and like they knew that like John and App weren't coming
Right.
back, you know.
Yeah, and I mean,
It's
I don't know too
sad.
much about like the business side of esports. I'm still young. I don't really know too much about it, but I do know that there's a lot of org owners, especially like I mean, even just in the past few years, there's been so much money thrown at esports from like venture capitalists, billionaires, people just trying to like kind of get their feet wet in the industry. But now, but back then, like, I feel like there were a lot of shady practices that we were just kind of unaware of as fans, and I'm sure even now there is. I mean, what all that stuff came out about the
Yeah,
Toronto Ultra last year with
yeah, not paying
yeah,
Brack or
because
like
Bragg
whatever it
needed to go
was.
somewhere. I think it was like a family situation, but then they said he had to stay in Toronto, something like that. And like then there's what
But they didn't
you,
pay him his contract,
you
so like
remember you remember
that's
the
weird.
Denial LAN? How the CEO
Dude,
of Denial was like, "We're gonna have a LAN tournament. It's gonna be amazing," and then he just dipped.
yeah, dude fell off the face of the
I
earth.
also heard that Denial was pretty sketchy too as an org. I think Clayster's talked about it before, especially after he said that he wished. I think he remember. I remember him saying one time that he wishes that he didn't win champs under their banner. Something pretty pretty straight up, pretty straightforward. Like he was just like,
Yeah,
I wish I didn't win champs under their banner because they didn't. That org didn't deserve it. Which yeah, that makes some sense. But I mean yeah, Twitter drama's fun. I mean like some
yeah,
of it's kind of sad. Like some of it's kind of like a little embarrassing for everybody involved, but at the same time, it's good content. I bet Jake Lucky's happy.
yeah.
Someone said Jake Lucky
I
found the
just
genie lamp.
Dude, I just think it's kind of sad, like, because like there's two perspectives, right? Like as fans, and like we love to like play, but like then there actually really is this like business side behind like all of esports, and like which has led to like some bad
Hmm.
situations. You know, like remember Nate Shot in the original 100 Thieves, how he promised Nick Merckx 5% equity if he joined, and then Scooter Braun came in and said, "Why would you offer him
Right.
5% equity?"
Yeah.
Like you should have just given him like a salary or like a contract with like a certain sum on
Yeah.
it, and like then he like backed out of
Like
that verbal
who
agreement.
else?
Like,
Dan
you know, people
Gilbert
don't like to
invested.
put things in
Yeah.
writing. Yeah, you know, there's just like people, it's all word of mouth, and you know they didn't even have salaries back in the day. Remember when EG got they were sponsored by Twitch, and they
Yeah.
like couldn't
Yeah.
stream 'cause they were on
Yes. I remember
MLG.TV,
this.
and they like had to stream on MLG.TV, but then would get fined by the org because they had to stream on Twitch. So then they couldn't just stream at all. And I loved watching H
Me too.
stream, man.
I love watching those guys back in the day. I mean, yeah, like we're in like a good spot, but also kind of like a worrying spot with esports because I think a lot of people are jumping in with a lot of money, but no real clue how the industry works, and you know they start
Or how to grow
right,
a
and they
team.
start hearing from people don't who also don't know really how the industry works, or they're brand new to the industry, but they think they have it figured out, or they come from a traditional sports background. A lot of the CDL orgs have traditional sports backgrounds behind them, like the Kroenke family. They run LAG. They also own like Arsenal and like LA,
Yeah.
a bunch of LA teams. Like
Yeah, like the
hmm.
Rams.
And like there's the Seattle. I'm pretty sure like they have some Vancouver.
The
Yeah.
Vancouver
Hmm.
Canucks, I'm
The
pretty
like
sure. And like but
the
also
Rocker have
LG.
some ownership group behind them.
Yeah, I think you have to get like a good mix, you
Hmm.
know, because like
Cause
but also it's just weird to me because out of like all the orgs, like you'd think at this point like Hastro, like I think Courage's best tweet was when he said that like Empire's 3 channels were getting like 4 views or
right.
something, and like Courage was getting like way more
No,
views
no,
a
no.
month than them. 'Cause
JHB was.
I was thinking
They're
I was thinking, oh,
yeah, the
JHB's Twitter
intern.
show got more views than all their videos on all 3 of their channels. Like, I thought that was funny because it puts into perspective. Like, you'd think after all these years, like Envy would have learned,
They
you know,
just
because
don't care. They just don't care about making
Optic and
content.
LA Thieves, they've captivated all the fans through
Hmm.
content though. Like, that's
Well,
really
yeah, one.
when you look at it, that's how you get people
I'm.
to be interested in
Yeah,
your
and
team. Like we all love the Thieves and Optic because we know them.
mhm.
Like with Empire, like they're lucky they got Krim. Otherwise, I feel like we know nothing about the
Right. I
players on
feel
that
like
team.
Shotzi, Hook, and Illy are also players that just want to play. And I
Yeah, I
don't
don't care
think you
about
should
streaming
force
immediately.
players to stream if they don't want to. But I do think you should make team content. Like I think they were trying,
Yeah,
they had the go kart video and all that stuff. But like you can't just make content and have it immediately grow because Hastro and Hex kind of they came into the scene around the same time. They were growing their orgs at the same time. They did it in different ways though. But Hex still managed to win championships. You know, it's not like Hex was only making content.
yeah,
You
like
know,
UMG Chicago
yeah,
2012.
Hex was winning championships all like for years. And like obviously like Envy has probably had I mean, we have to look at like the we have to look at all the trophies and everything and assess it. But I mean, Envy's probably had a little bit more success over time, especially with at champs and things like that. Maybe just a little bit, but I doubt it because Optic had the dynasty.
No, now
Optic
that
had a
well, yeah,
dynasty
the
that reached a
dynasty
higher
they were
point.
like the most
Right,
winningest
but they reached
dynasties.
a higher
So
point than any Envy team had ever reached. Well, also being the most popular team because people enjoyed their
yeah,
content. And
and beating Envy.
yes, and they
So
beat Envy consistently throughout that. So like, I don't understand why. I mean, I respect Hastro, and I think he's one of the great. I think he's one of the. I think without him, the scene is not where it is today. But at the same time, lay off the Twitter fingers. Lay off the weird like salt that comes out. I feel like it's just salt that kind of comes off of him. Like,
yeah,
and it's like also, but it's also like kind of hidden behind his like nice guy
dude,
attitude.
it's just weird, bro. He's playing like such a victim card, but like being like, well, I'm not, dude. He's like, well, I don't really care that we don't sell
He,
hoodies, but
he
then he's
better
like mad. He's like mad that no one gives a shit when his team wins a
he
league
better
match or whatever.
pray
Like,
that Empire don't play LA Thieves in some winners round and get knocked
oh,
out. He better pray
that'd
because
be
that would be.
insane.
I,
That'd be insane.
I would feel bad for him, even though he kind of dug his own
Bro,
grave. I would feel
I
bad for
honestly
him.
think that like if we see LA beat Empire, like I think that like it'll probably be there's just gonna be a lot more to it than like like cause imagine if like Dallas gets another win and Hasher goes back on Twitter being an asshole or something. Or like LA Thieves gets a win and then they just like go all out on Twitter, like only adding Hastro, like GG's at
Yeah.
Hastro. I think we could get a lot of good media
Yeah,
stuff
I mean,
if they play.
hopefully not for just like Hastert. Like he might have to deactivate.
Yeah.
Hey,
Dude, I just think it's so weird. He sounds so insecure. Like he's like, dude, winning championships is all that matters to me. But then that's not even like good enough for him because then he's worried about why people don't care
mhm.
when he wins. You know,
Yeah,
it's like sell
like,
more hoodies,
and
you'll get more people that
I
care.
understand its sentiment. I mean, obviously, 100 Thieves cares a lot about content, and that's the biggest part of
Yeah,
their brand is not esports. I would say. I mean, it's esports related, it's esports adjacent, but the biggest part of their
yeah,
brand is their streamers. You know, they have some of the most. I mean,
yeah.
what isn't Valkyrie like a top 10
Dude,
earning
her
streamer?
numbers are
She's
crazy.
like,
Her numbers are
I mean, obviously,
crazy.
Courage is up
Courage does
there.
crazy number.
Like
Noah J,
Tommy,
like.
Tommy's been like
Oh yeah,
taking off.
Tommy averages like 1 to 2K.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy for the amount of time that he's done that
hmm
in. Rated's been
Yeah,
killing it with Aiden and
it's just
Warzone.
it's
Like
there's juice that comes from join the optic juice is like a real thing. The 100 Thieves juice is a real thing. Like over in Europe, the G2 juice
Envy
is
doesn't
real.
have that juice
Fnatic
though.
juice, that's real.
Envy does not have
Envy
that juice.
is not it's not there yet. But I would say that Envy's a great place to come if you want to like get to an environment that is centered around winning championships, which is why I think it's perfect for guys like Hook and Shotzi and Illy who aren't the biggest like content creator guys, but they want to game, they want to play. And I don't think we need to force every pro to make content. I don't think that's the answer. I don't think and
No.
like I think I mean we should be in a time
Well,
where
actually, I
pros should
in a way, I think
well, I'm just thinking we should be in a time
I
where
kind of
pros should like be able to just be professionals who are playing and competing. They should be able to do that and still be able to make money, which is what the league formats kind of brought. Because before, the only players making real money were the ones who had streams and the ones who had that supplemental income off of like hours of stream. I mean, I'm sure Scump like was burnt out at some points with all the content that he was making on top of being a top 3 player in the world for like most of his career. Like I mean,
yeah,
and now like you can't expect every player to do that, and not every player is built for it either. Not every player has like the personality of a Scump. Not every player has that like kind of like real personality. But like what Optic does is like no matter who comes in, they get their own they get to be on their own kind of platform that's unique to them, that kind of makes them comfortable. And I mean, Hex pushes them to step out of their comfort zone as well, you know, for the fans, and it almost always is good for the player. It's almost always good for the player to like
yeah,
indulge in
that's
that, but at the same time I just don't think we need to expect every pro to be scump. We don't need every pro to
See,
be
so
octane.
like I think we shouldn't expect that, but I think that you're given a platform and think about it. You're like we should be at a point where players can just play and like that's like how they can make a living. But like you look at like NFL guys or like they come in the league, get their money, but then when they're bounced out, they end up losing it. Like they
Right.
don't have anywhere to go
Besides for the
after
ones that
that.
do
I think
promos and TV and commercials,
yeah,
I get that.
exactly. Like I think like if I'm in the CDL, like I'm not forced. If you don't want to stream during scrims, like that's your practice time. Like that's fine, but like at least try to stream or
Yeah,
like create
stream
a
eights,
community or your own branding. Stream eights.
S
Make
and
a
D
YouTube video.
tourneys.
Literally, you could just clip your
Hmm.
stream and just post the VOD like a 10-minute like this is a crazy
You
eights
know,
game.
an
Like I think
8 minute
I
video
think you
going over
have
your
to be
classes, right?
I think you have to be expected at some point to grow because you're not only growing your own brand, but you're also helping out like the Optic
Right.
brand. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll watch an Optic Gaming video on the Optic Gaming channel, but then I got a Scump or like an Envoy
Hmm.
Road to 100. Even
Yeah,
Dashy has started doing YouTube now. All those things just help
right.
for the
And
org as well as themselves. And I think that Envy could
hmm
really like if Shotzi started posting, if Hook started posting, dude, if Illy started posting YouTube videos, like I would watch all of
yeah,
them.
me too.
It's the goat. Like I think and at Crim, dude, Crim used to post the funniest
True.
YouTube videos. Did you go to
Yeah.
events, start
Krim,
vlogging? Like,
Krim though is like he's like set if he doesn't stream though. He's got money. He's made a lot, but
yeah,
like
bro,
I do get that point
the
though.
best Crim vlog moment, bro. UGC Niagara, whenever, like right before Big Timer retired, bro. Dude, it was the funniest thing. Aches was wearing an Optic Gaming shirt. And they were like, Crim's like, yo, Will, like, Ace is replacing you on Optic. Like, how do you feel about that? And he's like, oh, like, we're finally going to compete for some championships. Like, dude, it was just funny, like rival teams. But, like, Crim was able to just have
Hmm.
fun.
Yeah, I hope we get.
We need
That's
that
another
back,
thing is
man.
like once the lands come back, I feel like we'll see some more. We'll see some more content. I mean, well, we gotta look over some other stuff too. It can't all be Twitter drama, although it's pretty interesting. Let's look over just like the general standings right now because like currently it wasn't what I expected. If you had me write like 1 through 12 on standings, I would not have ended up with the same list that came out of the Stage 1 playoffs. A few things that kind of came to my head. LAG outperformed expectations as well as Paris. Florida went completely below everybody's expectations. Same with Toronto. Surge and London were kind of both expected to be in that bottom four group, so that's not too surprising. Obviously, the top as well is not very surprising. We kind of knew Empire Phase, LA, and Optic would be the best teams. So it's kind of in that mid range where we see subliners stack up. We see LAG, Minnesota, Paris. Like those teams are all those teams have all jumped above the tier below them. I think, but that they're still kind of breaking into that top four. So what were some of the things you saw?
Well, I think if we look at Group B, the Optic Phase group, when you look at how LAG and Paris literally did better than both Ultra and
Right.
Florida, like I don't think anybody
Mm-mm.
expected that result. I think we expected like obviously the Phase Optic in the top two, but I think we expected like those two teams to be flipped. Like we expected Florida or Ultra to kind of be in the 3-4. And they weren't. Like Florida just didn't really come out to play it.
Mm-mm.
Like who's the one team they beat? They beat
They
uh Ultra? No, they beat LAG.
Florida. Yeah, they beat
They
LAG.
beat
They
LAG
beat yeah, they beat LAG. Um,
Like I don't did they even go game 5 against
against anyone?
like cuz it didn't even feel like they were like
No,
really
because they got
dominating
three.
the
They
match
got
at
three
all.
one,
Like
3-1 to 3-0'd by
oh
by
yeah.
Optic. They got 3-0'd by Paris. Their match against Toronto, I believe. No,
You won as well.
yeah, no, yeah, you're right. They didn't go to a single map
So
bye.
they like that was what I felt like when I saw Florida. Like even if you were watching and like you felt like Neptune or like Awakening or Slacked was or Sky, like any of them, you could have been like, wow, like they're playing all right. Just for some reason they weren't winning, and I don't really know why. Like
Part of it, yeah.
because I think that they played well, but I think as I am surprised by LAG doing I think what I'm most surprised about is that you didn't have like a London, right? Like you didn't have a team that lost all their matches, which and it's funny because I'm like, oh, like Group A is better,
Hmm. Yeah.
But then you have a team that lost all their matches and like Group B, like they were all beating each other and whatnot. But I think that's what was most surprising, honestly, was just Florida and Ultra not playing better than Paris and
Hmm.
LAG.
Well,
Would you?
Yeah, well, I'm looking at the stats right now. And Mutineers, who we expect to be an amazing hardpoint team, went 3-6 in their hardpoints. Obviously, playing against some tough hardpoint teams in their group, but like 3-6, and then their S&D, they were 1-4 in S&D. Like S&D was just awful for them. They didn't win.
Yeah,
They only
and
won.
people were trying to boast about Awakening's highest S and
Right.
D KD is 2.47, and they were literally
I mean, yeah,
losing.
like
Like,
Awakening seemed like the only player. I mean, he was getting first bloods. It's not like he was like the last one alive, getting 2 kills and then dying and losing the round. Like he was getting first bloods. He was opening things up for his team, but they just they just fell flat. It felt like in a lot of their matches, and like they didn't really have their rotations down in hardpoint. They seemed to like they seem to easily lose out on rotations that they should win, especially on some of those different hard points. And like if Skies can't be comfortable and kind of cook and dominate the map and be a big presence, and then I just don't think they have the teamwork down yet. I don't think they have that like that kind of the teamwork that comes when you can win hard points without being outslayed. That's the
yeah,
teamwork that I think a lot of great hardpoint teams have. Optic, they've kind of that was their biggest problem last year, right? And Modern Warfare, obviously a different game, but their thing was like they outslay their opponents, but then they get out rotated or they can't hold down the key
yeah,
rotations. They get full 60 multiple times. Like that's like the kind of thing that was happening to Mutineers. I mean, if I'm looking at their hardpoint stats, they were 3-2 on Garrison, their most played map, and so that means all three of their wins were on Garrison. 0-2 on Crossroads, and then they played one map of Checkmate, one map of Moscow. They didn't touch Raid. So I mean, like it's just they only like they obviously were only succeeding on one of those maps. They were struggling against a lot of teams. I mean, just like some of the teams that beat them in hardpoint, like it wasn't even really that big of a competition. Like LAG beat them on Crossroads 250 to 133.
yeah. That I'm pretty sure that was their game one. Like,
Right. And one of the hard points that they won was actually against Optic. They won the map one hard point against Optic.
yeah, they finally invested in a map one
Hmm.
win, like their Twitter said they should.
They won the map one I think against FaZe as well. They won a Garrison hardpoint against FaZe. Like so they
Yeah,
had against the two best teams in the group. They win map one and then FaZe destroyed them in SMD and then won the tight control. Like they weren't completely far off from a lot of these teams. I mean the only time they really kind of got destroyed was like maybe the kind of end of that FaZe series, but like I mean, they got 3-0'd by Legion, who, well, that wasn't really expected. I mean, I was watching that game back a few times after it happened, and like, it was.
Theory's
Mhm.
coaching was just on part, like up to, like just on
Hey,
another level
Fire
that
said
day.
it. Theory is a god tier coach. That's what he said, right? S tier, god tier, something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I think Paris was just a huge
Hmm.
surprise. Like, I mean, not me. I believed in this team,
Right. I,
right?
I
Like,
I
but I
thought they
felt
were
like
gonna
a
be good
lot
too.
people were just like a lot of people were just like, oh, like whatever. Like I honestly thought LAG believe in them and I have faith in them. Like I honestly thought they'd be bottom of the barrel. Like I thought even Paris would do better.
Yeah. No,
Then
me
I
too.
thought it like Fortune Florida. But Paris, like, they played like super hard. Like their matches were close. Like the ones they lost, like they were close. Like that first 3-0 against Optic, like the first weekend, like that was a really close 3-0. Not as
Hmm.
close as the LA New York 3-0, but that was still a very close
Oh
3-0.
yeah.
Like Paris
Was it a
putting
round
up a
10
fight
S
against
and
them.
D?
Yeah, like we've seen incredible plays out of Scraps, Aqua, Fire, and Classic. Like I think, and my favorite, like when they were talking about Paris versus FaZe, and they were like, "Oh, Abizi's so good," like they're kind of sucking off Abizi, and we're like, "How do you think Classic feels like?" And then like Maven's like, "You know what? I don't think Classic is scared of this matchup against Abizi, regardless. Like I think he's, Classic's been around. He's not afraid of some young guy." And
Hmm.
Merc even was like, I feel like that's why a lot of guys like teaming with Nikki D and they have over the years because it doesn't matter. Like you could go play against the best team, and that's not gonna phase Nikki D. Like he went 0-11 in a S&D and Ghosts on Warhawk, and they still won the map. Like he's not afraid of anything. Like he knows, like you could do whatever and you can still win. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So I think Nikki D is probably gonna be like teammate of like the first 3 weeks for me. Dude kept them composed the whole time and whatnot. But I
Hmm.
think I think the biggest like individual player surprise to me is honestly Assault. Like I
Mm.
think Assault played way more like a team player than anyone expected him to, especially after last year going like 7-7 in a 5v5 hard point, right? Like how do you
So
even do
slow.
that? right? But he was hopping in hills, rotating more. Like I feel like LAG could be a really scary team to play against because you don't look at them and go like, oh, we're gonna get like absolutely outslayed, out rotated, but like they're
Hmm.
just gonna make the plays, like they know how to win. Like App can do what he needs to do. Silly the zebra,
Yeah.
he's got it done. So that was a pleasant surprise.
Hmm. Well, yeah, like I mean, LAG themselves, like as an S&D team, are extremely fun to watch because like a few of the players on the team can just go crazy, and like
Yeah.
Silly was surprising me a lot with. I mean, he was hanging with just about every sub that he played, and he actually has a 1.37 KD in S&D, which is fourth best in the league. And then their first out of first blood percentage, I mean, Vivid had 20% of the rounds. I think he was
Yo,
getting a
Vivid with
first
that
blood.
Krig is different, bro.
I'm telling Vivid's like an excellent player who I think is just going to be an unsung hero all year because when people are going to think about LAG, they're going to be like, oh, App, Silly, like Assault, like some champions, and then like Vivid is like a extremely good S&D player, and he can go off in any hard point, he can go off in a control, like he's
Yeah, his
almost like.
respawn looks so much better
Mhm,
compared to last year, honestly. Like he really looks like he belongs in the league. Like I don't doubt it at all.
mhm. No, yeah, you can't doubt that at all. Like there's no player I think that like has been downright awful this year because every
No.
team has
Even
like.
Diamond Con, who
Right.
came up from Challengers, has played incredible so
Yeah,
far.
absolutely amazing. Claw, he plays Claw. Shout out the
Yep.
Claw players in the world. I'm just like.
Hey, all the best movement players have they play Claw,
I'm
right?
telling you, man, Claw's the move. Claw's
Hey,
the
remember
wave.
remember Royalty from AW? Remember that guy that played on 12th Sense and
Yeah,
no bar or
yeah.
anything? Yo, how did that guy even play?
I don't know, but he was good. He
That's
was
good.
nasty. I don't even
But
know.
yeah, so group B, you got FaZe undefeated, you got Optic one loss, and that's the fate. Then you got LAG, that's winners. Then you got Paris, and then Ultra and Florida over in losers, which is unfortunate for them. But Group A, what were you? Where's your head at with Group A?
For a second, I thought the subliners were about to like shock everybody and just like take the number one or number two spot from that. I mean, that series against Empire was just so heartbreaking for them. I mean,
Yeah,
but I mean, Empire came to play and they clutched up. They did what they needed to do. But Thieves and Empire are just so like they're just so good together. Like that
yeah,
3-0 was like that 3-0 was not telling of like what would happen if they just continuously
no.
played each other. If they played each other every day and just kept playing best of fives, I think it would be
Hey, I'm gonna
day
hit him
in.
with. Hey, I'm gonna hit him with the Nathan thing. Hey, if you played that match 10 more times, the result is not going to be 3-0 out of the
Mm-mm.
10
No
times.
way. No way. That's what I'm saying. Like,
I think you know what? I think if you're playing Empire, bro, you gotta veto all garrisons.
mhm.
I'm calling it right now. That's Shotzi is just different on that map, and I think that if you get garrison out of the rotation against Empire, you already have like a 50% better chance to beat them.
Oh no, yeah.
Honestly,
That map plays perfect for Shotzzy and like Hook and like all
the
their.
rotation,
Yeah, the
their movement,
rotations,
like
their movement, the lanes they have to hold, the close range gunfights, the weird angles, like kind of when you're like down and mid and you're looking up at catwalk, like there's a bunch of odd angles like that on the map that like Shotzzy and Illy and Hook just love to be at. And like it's not even the best map for like a main AR, but Krim does what he needs to do on that map, and I've seen him.
yeah, just holding
Hmm.
what like holding down the spots. Like honestly, that team is so like perfectly fit for that map. Like they just look different on it. But
Hmm.
honestly, the biggest surprise to me in Group A is like New York. I don't think anyone like we saw that first the
Hmm.
like when they got swept by LA and we're like, oh man, like like that's a bummer. Like they played well, and then they
Yeah.
just came out so hot the rest of the week,
Hmm.
and then they lost to Empire, which was heartbreaking. But I think the biggest surprise out of like the whole like not even New York being that good. I think it's that the fact that Rocker didn't even make it to winners. Like
Well,
that's the weirdest
yeah,
thing
but
to me.
like I mean, New York smoked them, like
Yo,
smoked
New
them to
York
cooked
did
them to the
smoke them.
bone, like. And then Clay tweets, "That's your search team." Like after they what 6-0 them? Was it 6-0 or 6-1? Something like that.
I don't
Like
know. I don't know if they dropped around, dude. Ism
no,
was just different.
like they destroyed them, and then they destroyed London. Like they were looking not even just like great, like they were looking like one of the top like 2 3 teams in the league when they were really smoking teams. And like New York, like they just seem to have like very very good communication. They're all selfless players. Mac was starting to kind of feel a little. I mean, you kind of see Mac getting a little bit more comfortable and winning some
Yeah,
like
I think
key
so for sure.
gunfights, getting some two pieces that we kind of got to know from last year. Like we kind of got to know him as like the guy who's popping two pieces every time he's alive. Like now this year he was kind of getting shut down a little bit.
Yeah,
But
I
like
think I think for New York, I think it's the fact that like Mac and Asim figured out how to play around each other
mhm,
really well. Like, cause last year you saw Mac kind of just rushing into gunfights with an MP5, like just piecing fools.
mhm,
Like, dude was frying. But I think this year he needs to like kind of needs to play at a different pace than he did. And I think it's smart that Asim's become because like dude that first series against LA, like him and Asim were like sitting in corners on Garrison, and I was just
yeah,
like, what are they doing? You know?
there's yeah.
Like they looked like they didn't even know how to play the game, and now you got Asim going to the right spots, being that entry sub and frying,
Mhm.
and like Mac kind of following along, just kind of picking up like the slaying
Yeah.
role there. Like I think that makes them a way better team. They're definitely playing way differently. Like
Mhm.
the talent was there, but their play style definitely had to shift a little bit.
Yeah, and their best, like the best thing that shows you what this team is about is that ASIM had like a crazy ass KD on the first two maps of that one series, and then was just throwing his life for his teammates in the control. Didn't care at
Yeah,
all about his KD. He was just making every right play. He was doing the most. He was doing all the dirty work. He was doing all this thing. He ends up with like a .67, right? But they win the
yeah,
map and they won
yeah,
it pretty
exactly.
well. And like people on Reddit were making all these jokes. Like there was like the three-headed dragon with like the like derpy looking one that has like the control KD. I'm like, you guys are like you guys are missing the point.
Yeah,
KD is like not the greatest way to describe how good a player is and what they do for team. It's actually
dude.
completely against describing what a
Yeah,
player is because if you just watch what Asim was doing, you know that the .67. I mean, maybe he could have gotten a few more kills, won a few more gunfights, whatever. But like that .67 is not like if you look at that and think, wow, he played pretty bad on that third map, then you just need to reevaluate the way that you
yeah.
watch the
Like if he's
game.
capping the points and like throwing his life so that like he can
Hmm.
bait for his
Yeah,
teammates,
they're
like
in control. There needs to be someone who can get to the point, start applying pressure, and just hold it down, get a kill or
yeah,
two
like
before their
if on
team
raid
kind of comes and
he goes
surrounds.
to B and then gets like killed, but the guy has to like throw himself out the money window to go kill him, and that guy gets traded. Like
Hmm.
that's a good death, in my opinion.
Hmm.
I think it's so funny that you say that about Reddit because I deadass have not gone on the Reddit ever since I saw like the Seattle dude, literally Seattle. I'm pretty sure they didn't even play
Was
bad.
was
I
that
don't.
when someone said they need to like drop Looney for like Paul
Yeah,
X or some
dude.
shit like
I
that? Oh my
I.
god.
Oh wait, we should. All right, we should talk about that though too.
Oh, the Wester thing. Yeah,
Yes, yes, yes.
I.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that after we talk about the major,
Hmm.
because that is something important that I want to cover, which I think was
Hmm.
that was really unexpected.
Oh
But
yeah. But like, I mean, just
yeah,
like
Reddit, bro, it's so bad now,
it's
dude.
not
They're
horrible,
like, should they
right?
drop Pristine or Looney? It's like, bro, why?
Nah,
Like,
like
I guarantee you, if they picked up some like shit sub from challengers, like they'd play worse than Pristine or Looney. Like, I guarantee it.
yeah, and like I mean, you can say I mean we don't really know too much about what's going on in Seattle, and like you can easily point to Looney and say he's struggling. He's supposed to be the end game leader, but he has all this talent on his team, but he just can't like they can't figure it out. They can't get it done. Like I mean, Pristini and Gunless. I mean, from what we've known from them in the past, they have a lot. They're pretty big. They have a lot of emotion. They carry a lot of emotion with them when they play, and that's a part of the reason why they're such incredible players. But it's also the reason why they've been on teams that have kind of fallen apart, or they've been on teams that, or they've been kind of ostracized by their teammates from their behavior. Like Pristini, and I made this point actually on the Reddit. I said Pristini is either the best player on the server or he's struggling in some way. Like
Yeah,
that's the consistency and the balance that he needs to find in his career. But I think if Looney's going to call himself the in-game leader of the team, you need to see that kind of personality management. Obviously, that's a coaching thing as well. But like you just need to see that kind of you just need to all kind of mesh together, and they're in a very weird spot. And we can actually just kind of start talking about the major here. We start talking about the bracket because they're going to play Florida in the first round of the losers bracket, and that's an insanely tough matchup for the losers
yeah.
round one. And if you
Can
lose,
I
no
just say,
money.
shout out the major because like after watching the groups and whatnot, like these matchups now and the fact that all 12 teams are there just makes the major so cool.
Hmm.
Like Seattle versus Florida, losers round one, like whatever seed from whatever group, like now coming to play. Yo, bottom four teams, no cash, bro. You don't get 10K till you get seventh to eighth.
Hmm.
So
It's
there's a lot on the line right now,
yeah,
honestly.
no cash
Hey,
and no CDL
and
points.
CDO points, man.
Because those CDL
That's a
points are gonna
huge deal.
matter down the line. Because
Yeah,
isn't that the
100%. Yeah,
big
that's
champ seeding?
all of those go towards seeding for champs.
Yeah, and like if you look at it right now, I mean, obviously like they've only given out 10 for each match, so it's not like
Yeah, Phase
it's not
is
like
just
it's impossible to
so.
recover from that. Like FaZe has 50, and then like obviously London has 0, but like 50 points isn't crazy. It's a pretty deep hole, but like if you put together 2 or 3 good stages out of the 4, you're gonna be
Yeah,
at least in like a good spot at champs. You might be starting in like the later rounds of the losers bracket, but you don't have that chance of going out immediately, which I think is going to be huge for a lot of these teams because starting in that like I mean it was like champs last year. Like there were 2 matches right at the beginning, and it was like if you lose this
yeah. It's
match,
like
you go home
LAG,
no money.
OGLA, and
Yeah,
Seattle and Paris.
and then you have to sit on your ass and watch these players play for like what was the
Yo,
prize pool, like
yo,
a million
okay,
some dollars.
bro. It was a
Holy shit.
$4.3 million tourney. Can you imagine as well losing on like that first like Thursday or whatever, and then having to watch Friday, Saturday, Sunday, then wait till the next
Pain.
Friday, Saturday,
Pain.
Sunday.
I'd be
Like,
playing
bro,
league play.
dude, I remember when Octane when they lost that, he like uninstalled the game so fast, like right after they lost, like he didn't even care. Like when Abizi, dude, when FaZe lost like the championship, Abizi uninstalled and was like, I can't wait to never play this game again. And he was like, honestly, I thought he was the best at that game. Like I thought he
Yeah,
was so good
he
at
was
that
top
game.
3, top
He literally
4.
was like, dude, I can't even wait to not play this game anymore.
Yeah, when one of the best like 4 or 5 players in the game is like this game blows. You know you have a problem. You know
Yeah,
you have an
but
issue.
the format's so much better.
Hmm.
So
I think players enjoy this game too.
yeah,
I mean,
honestly, yeah, this game is way
right?
better.
They would talk about it if they disliked it. If they disliked it, they'd be
Yeah, it'd
vocal
be
about it, and we know that.
they'd be complaining a lot more.
So I mean, hopefully the pros like this game and they enjoy it. But I mean, what do you see happening in that first match? That Florida versus I think that's the first match of the day. I'm not sure, but
Yeah,
that
so
Florida Surge match.
So Wednesday tomorrow we got Seattle versus Florida and then Ultra versus Ravens. I got 3-1 Florida. I feel so bad Seattle, but I
Yeah,
just can't.
it has
I
to
just can't
happen
take them.
though.
I don't
It's
know.
just like 2 teams have to go out immediately. Like it's sad, but like I'm not gonna feel too bad for them.
Dude,
They
it's
get the
when you
paycheck will still hit on Friday, which is different
when
from
you
the past. The paycheck will still hit.
yeah, when you give these teams like one series to play each other, I just think that you want to talk about the inconsistency from Pristini and Looney. Like, I
You're right.
can Gunless and Octane like really carry that. Like, if Florida plays like a map that they're good at,
Hmm.
like, like I
They
don't
need
know.
Pristini
It
and
doesn't
Gunless to
seem
be frying
yeah.
if they want to
Like,
win maps.
I think it'll really depend on those inconsistent guys, and I just don't know that like in one match if they can just get it going. And I
Hmm.
love Pristini, so it'll be sad if he gets emotional on Twitter after,
Yeah, I
because
mean
like you just
he's one of
hate
my
to see
favorite
that.
players in the league. Like,
Yeah, same. I think Seattle is the best looking team, honestly. Pokimane did tweet back at Gunless, so he's obviously got to have something.
hmm yeah,
Um,
but then again, Cesar Sky's Bueno invested in his game, and he's
yeah,
there
he's
right now.
gonna
He doesn't
invest in
want.
his.
None of those Florida guys want to go out so early. You go out first.
No,
You're pretty much a
you know what?
bottom 2 team in the league.
They know what winning is like, and they know how to win. They did it last season. They won like 3 different home series, which is
Yeah,
honestly pretty impressive.
they
Like
were they
they
were
were a top team.
they were probably the best or second best team for like a good month and a half there. Good 2 months
Yeah,
there.
dude. Remember that when they were just like frying everybody?
They were
Like they're definitely not in that same
people.
form right
Yeah,
now.
people were literally like legitimate members of the community were like, "There's no way Awakening isn't cheating."
Yeah,
like,
right.
and
Awakening
that's how you
POV,
know.
Awakening POV.
That's how you know he's Frank. That's how you
Yeah.
know like
Dude,
there's so much skill on this team.
Formal put it the best way. They're an S tier team, right? You got what do you say? Neptune, bro. He's a talent, right?
Hmm.
You got Skies, who's like almost as good as Formal, but not quite at his level. Then you got
Which is
Slap, dirty work, right? And then you got Awakening. Like, dude, he literally thought Awakening was cheating. Like,
Yeah.
come on, that's a perfect
See,
way to put
like
that. Team
that's the thing
together.
about Slack is like, yeah, he does the dirty work, but like so does a sim, and a sim still has maps where he goes off. So does like
You know
all these
what?
other players, and they still have
I
maps where they go absolutely off. I need to see
Okay,
that from Slack. I need to see some.
I think
I need to see a great S and
dirty,
D.
dirty work is defined very differently. Like BO4. All
Mm-hmm.
right, like I think dirty work to me is a guy like Slack who's like hopping on your hills and like
What like
running or what
TP back in the day?
like TP's a classic like dirty work player. You know, he had Aches like just run around, Karma run around, do Karma or Clay. They're just gunning people, and Teep's like, well, I'm gonna hop on the flag, like
Mm-hmm.
whatever. You know, shout out
And
Teep, bro. I've been watching his streams every day, so
mm-hmm.
go watch twitch.tv
Yeah,
slash TP.
I
He
saw
has the
this
best
thing,
Warzone
and
game.
we make a little quick turn here because I saw this poll, and it was like I think it was like esports talk on YouTube or something like that. It's like
Yeah,
who's the most like get mechanically gifted, like best like Warzone pro, and I saw TP was one of the options. I didn't even care about the rest of them. I'm like, I'm gonna click TP because
yeah, bro.
obviously
Like,
ex pro
TP's the most
player, he's
mechanically
probably got
gifted.
the best movement and stuff. Nah,
Yeah,
man,
he's
they were disrespecting him. They were all saying like all these other
yeah, like
guys, like I think it was like
he
Aiden and
he's been
like these other dudes. I'm
nah,
like,
bro. I mean, Aiden. All
mm,
right, Aiden's good. Aiden's good, but TP's different, bro. And
yeah, that's what
and
I'm saying.
they're playing the Toronto Ultra 100K the past 2 days. Bro, this man TP, I tuned in yesterday. He's dropping like 30, like rallied, got like 20. Bro, they were frying in a tournament match, like, and they got the dub. Like, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm. So who's
Aiden
his
still, I think,
duo?
plays
Who's
first, but
Teep's duo?
Teep doesn't really play a lot of tournaments, but he plays every day with Symphony, who's not racist, and I don't think said the N word,
No, I don't think
and
I don't think so. I don't think he
Maven,
did either.
Maven, and Merc. He plays every day with Maven, Merc, and Symphony. They call Maven Baldy.
Is Maven good? I feel like Maven's probably good at
Dude,
this point.
Maven's like all right,
Right, because like
but
as good as you can be when you're kind of
Merc
a
and Teep and
commentator.
Symphony.
Yeah.
But uh, uh, back to the
Back
matches.
to the matches.
Florida 3-1. Florida
I got
3-1.
like
Yeah.
Florida in a 3-2 just to add to the heartbreak. Just to
Okay.
add to the heartbreak. I got
That's
Florida
a
in a
little
three
bit
two.
too sad for me. I couldn't do that.
Well, I
I
was
couldn't do
literally
my
flipping back and forth. I'm like Surge 3-2, Florida 3-2,
bro.
Surge
I
three
just
two,
go with
Florida
whatever I
three
click
two.
first, and I
Nah, I
just
gotta
click.
think about it. I
Yo, but Ultra LRR. What do you got?
I got Ultra in a 3-1. I mean, London.
I got two because
Yeah.
I think the heartbreak would be funnier if it happened to Haggy than Pristini.
Haggie's
Because
already.
like
Think about Haggie. He's already done what he wanted to do. He's already he's already played the league matches. Like what at this point? What more
he
does he?
proved he could be in the league.
That's all he needed, right? Like, does he really need more? Does he? He's
Nah,
making his check.
I don't know. I just don't think with the way Dylan Codd's playing right now and Shawnee like I didn't think Haggy. I mean, they all had bad maps. Honestly,
Haggie's been the
all
guy
50
who
maps.
really hasn't had like a. I mean, other than like maybe towards the end of the series, but
Dude,
like the first
he
few
was
matches.
fine,
Yeah, the
honestly.
first few matches, he was
Haggy,
probably like the
dude,
most
this
solid
man's
player on the
nice on
team.
Moscow. He's nice on Moscow. I
Hmm.
can't even like he definitely is good at this game and a good AR. But like
I think he
his
also deserves a
teammates,
spot in the
bro,
league.
they were having duds. Yeah, I definitely think he belongs in the league. Like if there
And
was expansion,
yeah,
he would 100% be in the.
and like I think when Zero comes over, Haggy will just get dropped, no matter how bad the performance is from any other players.
Yeah,
I mean, not drop, move to the bench as a substitute probably. But like, I just don't. I mean, when Zero comes in, they're just gonna, that's their friend, that's their EU guy. I mean, Zero's one of the best EU players of all time. Like he'll. I mean, I actually haven't really watched too much of him this year, just because he's been playing like he wasn't really doing much. I think he just started like EU
they just
challengers.
played EU
So
challengers.
I'll go and find some tape of him playing. But like when London's probably the team that's like this isn't their team, right? This isn't what they wanted. This isn't what they like.
No,
So like I can see him dropping out. I see him dropping down like 3-1 to Ultra. I see Ultra kind of taking care of things, just kind of like how Florida is. Like these are two teams that are very talented that have kind of had some weird bad showings, but I think they'll both kind
yeah,
of start to take care of things. Not sure if they'll make it past the next round, but that's kind of what I have so far. But we can look at the
yeah. I
winners.
mean,
We can look at the winners bracket though. Like
yeah. So winners. Yeah, we could. Yeah, so Thursday you got Optic, NYSL, and then Thieves Gorillas.
both amazing matches, by the way, and like
Yeah, I'm really
mhm,
excited for that Optic New York
right.
match. I feel like that's gonna be such a good
And
match.
one nice thing about
Oh, and
the
the LA
yeah, one
match.
nice thing about the I was about to say that one nice thing about franchising. I'm not the biggest proponent of franchising. You won't see me talking about it a lot, but Battle of LA, it does make it a little bit more
Yeah, that's
interesting.
hype, bro.
Makes it a little more
That's
interesting.
actually so
A
hype.
Battle of LA,
That's
it sounds pretty interesting to me. I like those the thieves hoodies that they came out with. Those look sick. LAG also has some sick merch. I tried to win that hat. Was it that hat or whatever from last week? I think I texted T-Mobile about it. They didn't give it to me, but I was trying to find that. And like This LA Thieves versus Gorillas match, though, I think the Thieves will clean up. I think this is their match to win, and this is their like kind of starting stone. This is the kind of starting step for them. Is they'll kind of make. I think they're gonna make a deep run in this major, and I think they won't have any problems with LAG. I think it'll be a 3-1 or 3-0.
For the LA match?
Yeah, I think the Thieves aren't gonna have too much of a
Yeah,
problem.
I said 3-0. Like, I'm excited, but I literally have 3-0 Thieves.
Yeah, and like I mean, what we've seen so far from I mean, Temp is probably the only player on LA Thieves who hasn't like had like a few like amazing like insane maps or like hasn't like really played up to the same level as the rest of his teammates. But at the same time, I think it's too early to say that like that he's a weakling or anything like that. I think that's insane to say that he's some kind of weakling. I
Yeah.
saw these people kind of arguing about it on Twitter. These LA Thieves fans. One guy was like, "Man, Temp is not good. Like he needs to go." I'm like, relax. 5 matches in, they're four. I mean, they're playing amazing. Like Temp is doing well. You can't expect every player on the team to have a 1.3 KD. Like that's never gonna happen in Call of Duty. When like outside of major dynasties, when has a team ever had 4 players with amazing stats or
Yeah.
5 players with amazing stats? It doesn't happen like that. You're gonna have a player who
No.
looks worse on the stat sheet, but if you watch the game,
Right,
you'll
bro. Like,
understand that he's
United,
playing well.
United won champs, and people said, so who's the worst, Clayster or Pristini? Like,
Nobody's the worst
right?
because
Like,
they all
nobody's
contributed
the
to a
worst on
championship
that
winning
team.
team.
Oh, man. Yeah.
That's
That's funny.
it blows me. Maybe Temp will have a few maps though where he just goes off to silence the doubters and like
Yeah,
he will.
I think I've seen enough from Temp to have full faith in him. Same with Tej, bro.
Right.
I was really hard on Tej and Temp. I said like it's really gonna depend on how
Mhm.
they play because they've been shit before,
Yeah.
and then they've just impressed me, and I honestly have like full faith in them. I do have them in my final, like the grand final. I'm not gonna say my result yet, but
hmm
I do have Thieves going all the way. Like I really do believe in them.
Right. I love Thieves. I mean they're gonna have to play some tough teams, so I'm gonna have to make some tough decisions later on in the bracket.
Hey,
But
there's also something about playing for a banner that you really support,
exactly.
like Kenyan Slasher. Like I think for them, and I even think for Temp and Tej now, like it's just so different. Like you're if you watch the Oda 100 from like BO4, like when they won, like they all talked like Enable, Octane, Priesta, like they all talked about how they wanted to win for 100 Thieves and Nade Shot like so
Right.
much, like because the passion is just there. Like I feel like these guys have like the extra
Mud
drive.
Dog
Like
too.
if they go down
Cap.
if they go down, if they go exactly like if they go down, like they're not gonna be like, oh man, like shit, like we're down to it. They're gonna be like, come on guys, like we're like the Thieves, like let's run it up, like let's do this. Like they got it, man. I don't think they'll have a
Mhm.
problem winning against LAG.
hmm And yeah, what about this Optic versus New York match? I have Optic winning in a 3-2 tight series.
That's what I
Yeah,
got.
right. Like I feel like Optic will pull it out, but like it will get dangerous for Optic if they have to go to a
It
map 5
will,
search.
bro.
If it's like a
That
if it's a
dude, it could be
Moscow
like
or like a
yeah,
Miami,
dude, if it's something where ASIM's just running
right?
around gunning them,
Getting
like
first
dude, that
bloods.
that ASIM Envoy matchup will be very
Right.
good.
Yeah, and like I mean, I was watching Envoy yesterday as they were scrimming, and he was frying. He started at Crossroads right against Minnesota. It was like he was 16 and 13 at one point, and died a few times in a row.
Yeah, I
He
got so
he
bored
goes
watching
he
their
goes
shit
frying
yesterday.
at one point, and suddenly he looks at his scoreboard, 35 and 19. So he just went
But no,
off. Like I was just watching him go on like a 10 streak, and honestly, like what I love so much about Envoy is that he's a young player who
he
has the
understands
head
that.
of a champion, has
Yeah,
the
he
mindset and the
understands.
head of
Like
a
he's on a
championship.
10 streak. He's not like, oh my god, these kids are so fucking
Right?
bad.
No.
Like he's just playing the game. Like, he's just
Exactly.
continuing to play the
Like
game to how his team needs
he
to.
has the mindset of a champion at like 20. Where the hell did Hex find? Like Hex like found money here. Like he found gold here. Like
The
he
Prince.
no way Hex ever lets him go. Right?
Oh,
No
no, dude,
way he ever lets
I
him
don't
go.
think any of these 4 players will be on like any other team again
Mhm.
unless it's like so bad
Right,
that
like
like
if they
they
place
don't
out
want
of the
to.
top 4 at champs, maybe they make a change. Maybe that happens, but
Dude,
I just
I don't even know if they do though,
really
like because they probably like playing with each other so
right.
much. Could you imagine trying to break up that like the team environment they have and try to bring someone who's maybe
Right.
not as vibey or funny into that? Because I feel like now you almost have to pass
Because
like a vibe check.
Dashy
Like I
isn't
feel like that's
unre
why RC.
because like
Oh, dude, no,
obviously
you
two
can't even
no,
go
here's
to
what I'm saying.
Bruce. You can't.
Obviously two T2P is not touchable. Envoy's not touchable, but Dashy isn't touchable either because he's
Yeah,
obviously the newer guy because he wasn't on the Huntsman or wasn't
hey,
on
he's
the
been on
or like
Optic the
but like
past 3 years,
yeah,
man.
but like it's like but like last year was weird because he was on the fake Optic and like but like and he
Oh,
wasn't
sure.
really and he was kind of quiet because
And
he
he
kind of
benched
didn't like to
himself.
play.
He
He
benched
benched
himself because
himself,
he wanted to
but
go
the
play for the
Dashy
Dodgers.
Renaissance is here. Is the Dashy Renaissance
Dude,
not here?
yo,
It's
I
it's
guarantee,
the time
like,
of
he
Dashy.
could have been good if he was like a main M4 last year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but they wanted him to run a sub because they had like Kenny and Slasher and like Jacob. Like, it just didn't even
What
work
a
out
messy
last
team
year.
last year.
Yeah,
That was like
but
Goonjar
I
was on
think
that
with Optic,
roster.
yo,
Much love
and
to
as an
Goonjar.
Optic fan, I could tell you that like Optic fans, like we love Dashy and we will not let him go. Like I will
Mm-mm.
not agree to trade Dashy anymore. I will be angry if he leaves. If he leaves, I will be a fan of that team. Like I love Dashy. Like Dashy is definitely a fan favorite, bro. And when they get snipers back in the game,
Oh
oh my
no 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 no!
god, bro.
That's not even
Like come
fair at that
on,
point.
bro.
Like
Dude, right? Like, dude, that's crazy to think about. Like, if they put those back in for CDL, like Dashy and SND will just be a different animal.
hmm yeah, and I mean
Like, different.
I think this Optic team's gonna make a deep run as well. I have them going all the way to the finals. But yeah, I'd say they win that 3-2. So I mean, let's look at the elimination matches. We both had the same winners. So I guess the next round of
Yeah.
eliminations would be
Paris, Florida,
yeah,
Rocker Ultra.
Paris, Florida, and Rocker Ultra. The potential matchup here. So just like the potential idea of Paris playing Florida again is amazing to me because I honestly think Paris will beat them again. I don't think it'll be.
Yeah,
I
I
think it'll
think
be
Paris will win
I got
3-2.
a 3-1. Honestly, like I just don't see Paris. I don't see Paris like letting us go to map 5. I see them coming out like winning the hard point. If they win the hard point, I see them winning a 3-0. If they win that hard point, they get the 3-0. But if they lose the
Yeah.
first hard point, they bounce back on an S&D. If they get a favorable map, I think they'll do well there. Cause let me
Yeah, I'm gonna be like those weird kids in the chat. Paris will win the hard point 250 to 187. Florida will win the
mhm.
S&D 6-3. You know,
Right, and like
like
the
uh,
so like as far as like search goes, like Paris, I mean they really haven't been like the
I think they
best.
have the upper hand though for
Right,
some
but
reason. Like I feel like they're gonna play Game 5 Miami and Paris will win.
because like
Like I just have a
right,
feeling
like
about
there's
it.
just not much tape on Paris right now as far as S&D goes. You know, they're 1-2 on Checkmate, 1-1 on Miami, and then 0-1 on 0-1 on Moscow, 0-2 on Raid. Like there's just not no teams played enough maps that we really like get a deep understanding of how they play a
Yeah,
game
we
mode
don't
or how
have
they
any
play
good
a map.
sample sizes
Like
yet.
that's why KD is kind of pointless right now. I think KD is honestly like pointless until like 10 games at least.
Yeah, you know what? I think it's like I think it's one thing to look at like an event KD, but like if it's just like the week, like you just got to look at who wins, man.
Right. Who's
Like who cares about a
consistently
KD?
right? Because the sim, as we know, helped was like a major part of winning a control with a .67 KD. That's what a lot of people just. I think a lot of newer fans as well don't understand that because they don't really have enough like information to look off of, and competitive COD is so different from like public COD and even like GBs and like eights. It's all different from that. Like they play differently in matches and they do in scrims. Like there's just so many different factors that play in that it's just if you just look at raw numbers, like you just look at raw KD and all that, like once you get deeper into like adjusted KD and stuff like that, it starts to get a little weird and like maybe starts to tell you a little bit more. But I like it's wins and losses right now that's going to separate these teams, and that's what I think we need to look at the best. And they're a pretty good hardpoint team. They're 3-0 on Garrison Hardpoint Legion are. So like
Yeah,
you pick up a good map like that, you maybe lose the surge, but you roll it into control where they've been a great control team. I don't know how many control matches they've actually had that weren't like three. They had some close. Yeah, they had a 3-2 against Optic. They had a 3-2 against FaZe. Actually, they 3-1 FaZe on control. Like they're an excellent team, and they beat FaZe in hardpoint, right? Like they
yeah,
can turn up at any
yeah.
time.
That was so close too.
It,
That was
yeah, it
really
was a
close.
two fifty two
Slow down,
forty nine,
like
but
slow
like
down.
they
Yo, that was a crazy map.
mhm.
That was actually really crazy, bro. I was like, no way,
That
Paris
might have
breaks this.
been one of the best match. That was probably one of the best matches of the whole stage one
Yeah,
regular
that was
season.
really good one. Yeah, I think you know what, Paris over Florida 3-2. I think Florida will like bounce back, but I think because like the groups are gonna be different after the major, right? Like we're gonna see new groups, which will be super cool.
hmm
But I just think Paris, man, like they just seem more like they could pull that out,
Uh huh.
which sucks. in that sense, Florida home. But Rocker versus Ultra, I got Rocker 3-2.
I got,
I
hmm
I just like you. I think it could even be like 3-1 if Rocker wins a hard point. Like I don't know that they will. I think it'll be like it'll be like the S&D control 3-2
yeah.
kind of one. But I don't know. I just don't. But like I don't even. I don't know. I don't have a lot of faith in Rocker. Like I even have them winning in elimination round 3, but like still don't even think that they're like that much better. I don't think that. I think their lack of hardpoint play makes them like separate from like the
hmm
top four.
Yeah,
You
and
know what I'm
the
saying?
only teams they
Like
beat,
even just the other teams and winners,
right,
like even just the winners, like I think like those teams just have a better chance of winning more game modes than Rocker
right.
does.
The only two hard points they won were against London and Surge as well.
Yeah.
Like the only two hard points they won were against the two worst teams in the league, you could
So they
say.
that ass didn't win a hard point against a good team.
Yeah, essentially. And not only that, but they got destroyed in some hard points. There was a 250 to 60 against
Dude,
Thieves and a
that's
250 to
tough.
82 against Subliners.
After the
They
restart
played. I
too.
mean, they did
I
play
don't know.
Empire
Like they didn't.
kind of tight, like semi-tight, but those were the maps in that series that Empire kind of comfortably won. Like that didn't like
Yeah.
Empire was never really down by much in either of those hard points.
Yeah.
But then they dismantled Empire on two different S&Ds. They've only lost one S&D so far. So like yeah, Clay can tweet like that's your S&D team after they 6-0 them, but at the same time that's the only S&D they've won. They've won 5 S&Ds already. They beat they beat Thieves and S&D. I mean, they beat obviously Surge and Ravens, and they beat Empire twice. Like these are like these. That's not a bad Search team. Empire. That's I mean, Illy
No.
is one of the best Search players in the game, probably.
Yeah.
Like it's just like the team literally like only falls apart with hardpoint. It's 2-5 at
Yeah.
hardpoint, and like those hardpoints we're losing them series, and like it's not even like they're playing close on the hard points, like they're getting blown out, and like if they figure that hard point out and they figure out rotations and they figure out like I was watching their match. I mean, they were scoring Optic yesterday. I know it's just scrims, but like they had a lot of really good pinches on Optic to force them out of hills and end up getting full 60s and winning rotations. Like they need to just kind of work on that. And if they do, I think they'll run through. I think they'll run through Toronto pretty easily. But it could get really testy if they lose that first hard point
Yeah.
and then win the search. And like that control is just like control shaky. So I mean, we'll see how that
Yeah.
goes. But I have them winning. I have them winning a 3-2 as well.
And I have been impressed with Ultra, but just I don't think I've been impressed enough to think that they could get over Rocker, especially like
Mm-hmm.
in that elimination round 2. There's just a lot on the line.
Right.
But winners round 2, Dallas, Chicago, and Phase Thieves.
Oh,
For that's what we both
that's
got.
all I need.
What do you got? What do you got?
I have some. I actually have Chicago, or I actually have Optic going 3-1 over Dallas here. There,
Yeah, I got Optic 3-2.
I got Optic winning the. I got Optic winning the hard point. I got them losing the surge, and then I have them clutching up on the next two respawns. Like Empire had some times I feel like where their players kind of get a step behind. They get a step behind the other
Yeah.
team. They're taking gunfights and hardpoint that are just not the gunfights that they can win that anyone can win consistently. Hard time breaking some setups. Like the reason why the reason why they lost to Rocker was all on that like S&D, right? Like that S&D and then the control, and like that was like the most stereotypical like Rocker 235. And like
Yeah.
they're still amazing, and I think they're gonna kind of get, I don't know, maybe not disrespected, but like a lot of people thought like they were untouchable when they were going on that when they were going on that first few runs right at the beginning, and then they kind of
Yeah.
started getting like smacked in the mouth, and like it started to like that Rocker series I think really woke something up at them, because I
Yeah.
think after that Rocker series they they only lost one S&D after that Rocker series, and it was in the second map to Subliners, which they ended up winning the series. So like they've really they've really figured out their search. They've really kind of taken some of the things from that Rocker match, and like I think improved a little bit. And obviously like the 3-0 over Thieves, it was a pretty close 3-0, round 11 S&D, like one rotation worth of points on the hard point. And then the control, I think Empire really like kind of just, like Thieves threw one of the rounds of that control, I'm pretty sure too. Wasn't there one of the rounds that they were up by a few kills and then they ended up throwing it? But I feel like Empire like has really turned up, and I just see Optic coming across. I just see Optic kind of coming across with like a it's gonna be tight either way. But I just see Optic coming across with like a few good maps and a few good key gunfights to kind of just swing the things their way. I just think they'll be on a little bit more of a kind of hot streak, especially if they kind of come off of that New York win. Especially if they dominate New York, I think they'll be able to run through Empire. So I mean that'll be interesting to see. And no matter what, though, I think it's going to be completely close. I think it's a coin flip at the end of the day. It's just my gut reaction was to put the Optic 3-1.
Yeah, I got Thieves 3-1 over FaZe. I think from what we've seen so far, FaZe hasn't really been tested as much, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they definitely have had the easier group. That Optic series went 3-2. But, like, even when we saw them make, like, bigger plays, like, I feel like the guys on Thieves are so much more prone to go off than the guys on FaZe right now. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, like TJ with, like, the 13-0
Minus
S&D,
like
like,
Simp.
Temp that just had Temp's had maps where he's a fraud, but like even with Simp, like I feel like we haven't seen that many like Simp-esque maps, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like where like last year, like we see him play like an AR dominant map like Ozzer Cave and like somehow drop a 40-50 bomb. Like dude literally broke his record like 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
Like yeah, I mean dude's crazy, but I don't know. I think right now Thieves 3-1. Like I think FaZe is good, but I just gotta go with the Thieves.
Mm-hmm. Also, just with the way that Thieves are playing, I do see that as a possibility. But I am going with the FaZe guys 3-2 in this, only to set up the Thieves lower bracket run, which I think they'll make. But I have FaZe winning this just because I think for the kind of opposite reasons, I think that they're gonna clutch up. It's gonna come down to the clutch moments in this game, and we saw what FaZe was able to do against Paris with their kind of backs against the wall in the S&D. They pulled something out of nothing essentially, and I think they can be able to do that
Yeah,
against Thieves. I think they can easily match. I mean, they easily match the slaying power. I think they match the. I think it could be a bit of an AR battle a little bit with the way that the AR's been playing. We'll see what Celium does. We'll see if he's snaking around.
snakes.
We'll see if Celium's snaking around because I don't know if anyone on Thieves can match with snaking. Can they?
Yeah.
Maybe that's the big reason why I got FaZe winning this because I don't think anyone can match Cell snaking.
Yeah. Well, now that our brackets are actually different, do you want to just like run through the rest of your bracket and then I'll run through mine after?
Yeah.
Because we are. Oh my God, we're already in an hour.
No, I mean here I'll run right through this real quick. So after that, that would mean that my bracket would have and FaZe going ahead, and then LA would move to the elimination round 4. So elimination round 3, I have the Subliners 3-0ing Paris. I just think Paris's run-ins there because Subliners are they're simply just a better team, and I think they have a lot more slaying power, and I think they will be able to kind of run through Paris. I mean, we'll see what happens there. Like, every single map now, just like Octane says, is a coin flip. So like my predictions were kind of good last week, but I think I kind of just got lucky on some of them. So we'll see if I get lucky again. But then I got LAG losing 1-3 to Rocker. I think Rocker just like insane. I think Rocker just again just like an insanely fundamentally strong team. I think they're mentally strong. I don't think they'll let the idea of a losers bracket put any kind of crazy pressure on them. Neither will LAG, but I just think Rocker has an extra kind of step in those with that S&D game. I think it's just something so amazing to have in their arsenal because they're also a pretty good control team, and I think they'll be able to beat LAG about 3-1. And then in elimination round 4, I got this. I got the. It's hard for me, right? Because it's Thieves subliners, and I feel like the subliners are gonna take a few maps off of them. It's all gonna come down to a map 5. I think. I think this will probably be the best match of the losers bracket. Will be this Thieves versus Subliners match because I think both teams, if they kind of if they're hot, they're gonna be putting together some fireworks, and I think they match up very evenly at some points. I think it all kind of comes down to the way that Mac and Sim are playing. If Mac and Sim are playing well, this will go to map 5, and it can go to anyone. But I'm just gonna go with Thieves 3-2 as my kind of initial pick. I just think Thieves are gonna clutch up, make the plays happen. And then Empire, I have avenging their loss against Rocker with a Game 5 S&D win, which I think will be absolutely massive for them. I think they might lose the control and then the first S&D, but I do think that they can kind of come through and win that Map 5 S&D, which will prove a lot for them just mentally, knowing that the only team or knowing that the team that beat them like that is not like they don't have their number. That's what Empire is going to prove. And so then going on to the losers bracket, going through the losers bracket, I haven't quite completed this yet, so I'm just gonna go with my gut reaction. I'm gonna go with Thieves dropping Empire 3-2 in that like losers round 5, setting up my match between FaZe and Thieves because I think Optic will beat FaZe 3-1 in the winners final, and so that'll set up FaZe against LA Thieves, and then I got FaZe winning that for the rematch against Optic, and then in the finals, I think Optic will have a one map advantage, or the winners bracket team will have that one map advantage. I think they just cruise to like a 5-3 victory, and Optic's our first champions. I know it was a bit of a rundown right there, but I just think that's how it's going to shake out.
Yeah.
Locking my picks.
I've locked my picks as well. I got in the winners final. You know, I have Optic and Thieves, so I'll quickly just send Optic to the grand final. You already know, baby. You already know Optic gang shit. I'm an Optic fan gay. I don't care if that's politically incorrect. You know, we have barely any views right now, so no one will really care. Maybe later if we blow up, people will care that I said that. But in elimination round 3, I got 3-0 New York over Paris. You know, New York's just way better.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think the skill gap between those teams is a lot bigger. LAG versus Rocker, I got Rocker 3-2. It's sad to see LAG go home. You know, I want Silly to keep going, but I just don't know that they will. Maybe they will. I feel like if any team's going to surprise me, it'll be LAG.
Definitely.
I don't think, like, Paris will shock me and beat New York or anything. Like, I think if anyone is going to surprise, it'll be LAG, just because we keep doubting them. You know, it's like, even though I'm like, I don't doubt them, like, I do at the same time. Because I'm like, oh, they're good, but I'm like, oh, they're not going to beat this team. Then elimination round 4, I got FaZe 3-2 over Subliners. It's sad, but someone's got to go. Then I got 3-1 Empire over Rocker. Not much to say there. I think Rocker may just take the S&D, but I'm not even sure about that. It could be 3-0. FaZe versus Empire. I got FaZe 3-2 over Empire. It's going to be probably an insane match. Like, I'm super excited to see that one. Dude, that's crazy that, like, I have Thieves in my bracket literally starting playing, like, they play FaZe, then they play Empire, then FaZe, and then Optic. Like, in my bracket, like, that would have never have happened last year. Like, the fact that could actually happen.
That's why I love this new format. I think we're going to see a pretty exciting major out of it.
Yeah, so then I got 3-2 Thieves over FaZe in elimination final, and then I got 5-3 Optic over Thieves in the major final. I think Optic is just a good team. I think that, honestly, like, I'd rather play Empire than FaZe.
You'd rather play Empire than FaZe?
If I'm Optic, I'd rather play FaZe than Empire. I think that alone just gives them an easier run. Like, even if they were to lose, like, their side of the bracket looks a bit easier. Like, if they were to go play Paris again or whatever,
right?
Or like New York again or like whatever. Like, you know, I think they could do it. I think that Empire is going to have a tough time, you know, because they're going to have to go from playing Optic, and instead of, like, if they were going to play, like, you know, like Paris or whatever, like LAG, or like they're going to have to play Rocker from my brackets. Like, that's not even easy. Then you have to play FaZe, and, like, even if they won that, then you got to play Thieves again. Like, it's just, there's just a lot there, you know. I feel like Optic is more equipped for, like, the matchups they could be seeing.
Right.
Which is crazy because Empire is still a really good team. I just think, like, right now, Optic, just the way they are, I think they'll take it. So I'm going with Optic as our stage 1 champs.
I like it. I mean, I think we're both really high on Optic right now. I mean, for different reasons, but, like, I mean, like, obviously you're a big Optic fan. I'm not really an Optic fan. Like, they're cool, but, like, they've just never been the biggest.
How good they are, though.
Yeah, but I know how good they are.
You're aware of how good they are. I think right now,
and
like,
because nobody else streams scrims, I can't watch anyone else's scrims.
Right, you tune into Twitch every day. It's like, well, I'm just gonna watch Formal's journey to being the greatest. Like,
I get that notification on voice streaming scrims. All right, bet.
Yeah, man. Hey, that's one of my. You know what? Those are some of my favorite times throughout the day. I wake up, you know, I'll go look TP live for the day. Come and hang out. You know, I'll go watch TP. Hey, then I got Scump live for scrims, and I got ding 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 ding. Right, then I got Formal journey to being the greatest. Dashy in the lab. Then I got Envoy team scrims. Like, you know, it's just the best part of my day. You know, as an Optic fan. You know, I get the Notif Optic podcast. You know, I get the Optic trivia. Like, I get all those. You know, Optic just makes everybody's day every day. You know what I'm saying?
Well, we'll see, because they probably won't make FaZe's day if they end up playing them and beating them that easily. But, like, I'm my biggest thing, like the kind of closing note for me is I want to see matches between teams that just haven't played yet, which is why my bracket's a little bit boring because it pushes the teams that have already played each other to rematch. But I want to watch, I want to watch Chicago play Empire. I want to watch FaZe
Dude,
play Thieves. I
yo,
want to watch.
I love Optic, bro. The latest Optic podcast. I just realized the title is "Scub's going to be a dad," like in all caps.
Just
Dude,
baiting people.
Hex is the funniest, bro. In the thumbnail, it's just them sitting there laughing, and it says he's in Formal's head. Like what does that mean?
I don't even know. Like, I want to. Scum might end up being a dad. He might have the two twins.
Oh my God.
The tiny. He might have the tiny terrors might be his kids after this weekend if they actually beat
Yeah,
him in two different series. So
that'd
I
be
mean we'll
crazy.
see.
Um,
But any
yeah,
closing ideas?
yeah. I wanted to quickly talk about like this shocker from last night, right? We got Challengers Cup this weekend, like the first
Right.
Elite Series wrapped up. NYSL was the champs of that. They kind of look like the best Challengers team, and Wester. Well, now the three players that were on Wester, Gravity, Venom, and Paul X, decided to pick up Timmy Phantoms and drop Zaptius. And Zaptius said, y'all really think they about to finesse Wester from me, right? He said, man, shit, I'm dropping them, right? He
So
said,
is that Zaptius's brand,
yeah. So
Lester? Or whose brand is it?
Zaptius is keeping Wester. He said that he made it, so he dropped them, right? They went to go team with Timmy Phantoms. Now Zaptius is looking for three, but that should be
Well,
interesting.
Lester also has a ton of sponsors. I'm pretty sure. Well, not a ton, but like they have a few sponsors. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure they have some like decent like income coming in
Yeah, and I
as much
wonder,
as a Challengers
I
team
wonder,
can. So
like
that actually is pretty big.
from what I saw about Challengers, like I didn't really feel like Zaptius was like that much worse than like
Mm.
anyone else. Because when you thought of like who's the best player on this team, like honestly, you could have named anybody. Like you
Right.
really
I think
could.
it's Venom
Yeah, I
personally.
think I think Venom or Paul X is probably the best. Like but then that was just a
Yeah.
weird situation. But
Hmm.
that's all I had to say about that. Hey, and actually, lastly, I want to talk about one more thing Call of Duty related. So, Adan released that tier list of like the best Warzone players, and I just want to say, Husker is like the weirdest person in my Warzone scene, bro. Dude got way
Is
too.
there more about that? Is he still mad about
No,
that?
no, it's done, bro. He's like being weird about Nick Merckx too, though. He was like, I don't know, like Nick Merckx like unfollowed me on Twitter, like he would. I would say it's his face if he got in Discord with me though, like dude, come on, man. Like I don't know. Hey,
The
all I gotta
nerds
say
are
is,
fighting.
hey, CDO people are way less soft than Warzone kids, and that's my
Uh,
closing statement.
and way less soft than Valorant players. These
Valorant players,
Valorant players are getting
oh
mad
my
about
god, man.
commentators saying that
Yo,
they didn't play well.
bro, you sent me that. I literally responded to dude tweet. I said they should just get rid of casters so they won't hurt your feelings. Like, 'cause that's
we
what it felt
we
like.
need to
Like,
think
I
about the
can't
paid
believe,
professionals, Alex.
I can't
They're
believe they would
struggling.
say that about us. Like, I can't believe they would like criticize our gameplay. Like, oh my god, I'm gonna fucking cry. I play Valorant, it's way easier than CS:GO. Wah!
Like, yeah, you've already
Yo,
ran
I
from
just
from a
bro.
harder
Yo,
game to an easier game.
Steel from 100 Thieves was literally on that IBP team that was fixing matches, bro.
Well, a few of them were like like Skadoodle's playing now, and he was fixing
He is.
matches. Well, Skadoodle played. He was playing for T1. He was playing with Brax, who was
Bro,
swag, who also threw the match. Like,
why are they even allowed to
well,
fuck?
I mean,
Yo,
personally,
bro,
from
okay.
from that story,
Yo,
I mean, that we could do a whole other podcast about.
hey,
I think by this point, like they need to be forgiven, but at the same
I,
time,
I,
especially in
I
a
think,
different game,
I just think
let
it's
them play
so
a different
funny.
game.
They like actually threw so hard. They like
Yeah.
actually, dude. Who had the op and was looking at like the two people and just didn't even shoot and like missed on purpose, bro. That
I'm pretty
that
sure
is like
Skadoodle also like didn't use the op, even though he was
dude,
their main opper.
bro, dude. Oh my god, man. Man, fuck Valorant.
Well,
That's
well,
actually
and then
fuck Valorant.
Skadoodle won a CS:GO major because he didn't because the guy who had the skins, who was gonna pay them, did not have enough at the time to give it to Skadoodle, and then Skadoodle was like, I don't feel good about this anymore. Just leave me out of this, like something like that. That's obviously
Yeah,
oversimplifying the situation, but
that's
like,
no, it's Skadoodle. Like he was chilling.
but hey,
Yo, but how is Braxton Steele like? Are they forgiven? Like, do people ask them
no,
about that
well, to be
anymore?
fair, Brax was like 15. And his
Yeah,
parents told him like start making money off this, or you gotta quit and get a job and help the family, right? So
true.
he took this, and at the time there weren't really salaries being offered, especially in NA. Like so, like he just didn't really like, he kind of just had to do it, and like, I mean, obviously it's like 6 years ago at this point, and like they're all the talented
Hey, you know what?
players and
I'm
talented
hoping for the
individuals.
best for Steele and Braxton Skadoodle, man. Screw it. I'm forgiving them,
Yeah.
even though I don't know who had that op play where they saw the two people. But like, you could have at least thrown like not that hard,
Mhm.
like and on camera. Like, bro, literally got caught in 4K. Could have like gotten both these dudes with a 2-piece like collateral. Like, I swear, bro. Like, it was literally like you will never get that opportunity in a game where you like see two dudes line up like that, and he literally threw like
Yeah.
just to the point where like you're like, bro, come on, like there's no way, like you are trying to miss that, and that will never happen in the CDL. If anyone's cheating, we would find out because we have a good anti-cheat in Call of Duty. All the hackers get banned, so
Yeah, we'll
obviously,
have Tommy.
you know,
We'll just have Tommy review the footage on stream,
yeah.
and we'll be fine.
All right.
Everything will be
Yeah,
okay.
that's all I gotta say. Now I'm good. Now I've said everything.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for watching this week. We're gonna have We're gonna have some new content and stuff coming out too. We're gonna be kind of ramping up the social game as well. So, I mean, thank you for.
We swear, bro. I promise, fans. I swear.
We're gonna
soon.
We're gonna break out the socials. We're gonna get this up on YouTube very quickly.
We're gonna start doing polls on Twitter for
Yeah.
y'all to like, who's the best mini art? It'll say like Crim6, Skies, Aqua, and like Zinni.
Zinni, or it'll just be all for Zinni if we let Vish.
Yeah, you know what?
Let
We might as
Vishal
well
run our
just do,
account.
like Anthony, Zinni methods,
Yeah.
UYU methods. Like, I don't
Yeah,
know. We'll do
exactly.
something.
Strictly business.
Hey, be on the
Chicken
lookout. Be
parm,
on the
man.
lookout. Make sure to watch the major this weekend on YouTube.com/Call of Duty League. It starts at 12 Pacific time, 2 Central, 3 Eastern. I think. I don't know.
8
You know
p.m.
what? Hey,
GMT.
you know what? Come 20 minutes late to the stream.
Yes.
All right, because they say the match starts at the exact time that the stream starts, and it doesn't.
Mm-mm.
And
20
if you
20
don't
to
really
30
give a
minutes.
shit about, you know what? I like Nameless.
Me too.
You know, so I don't mind listening to Nameless sometimes. But if you don't like Nameless, I don't know why you wouldn't. Skip the first 20 minutes. All right.
Mhm.
That's all I actually have to say.
Oh, yeah.
That's actually.
No, yeah. Skip the 20 minutes. We use that rewind feature. Shout out for this. All right. Peace out, guys.